Breaking news! Breaking news! Amber Heard has announced she is settling her appeal against Johnny Depp. That's all I can say is phew. Now, I haven't covered the appellate process. I'm not a lawyer. I like to cover things when it comes to how this has been played out in the public realm. And I've maintained from the very beginning in all of my Amber Heard coverage that Amber's fake TRO and her defamatory op-ed that was found to be a defamatory by a court of law, that those were major PR stunts. Now, what is PR? When it comes to public figures, I consider it to be public reputation. The way your public reputation is seen and managed and handled. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the statement, react as I read the statement, and then afterward, I want to give you my idea of whether this worked out the way Amber Heard probably hoped it would work out from a public reputation standpoint. Here's the statement. After a great deal of deliberation, I have made a very difficult decision to settle the defamation case brought against me by my ex-husband in Virginia. Now, I'm going to start out by first saying that there are 4 screenshots to this statement. And this statement is rather lengthy. In the usual course of settling cases with high-profile figures, there's usually, maybe 1 or 2 paragraphs that say, we've decided to settle, there's no admission of guilt, I thank my supporters. That's the typical way of settling and closing out a case. But we're going to keep going and reading this lengthy statement from her. It's important for me to say that I never chose this. Now, that's where you lose us. That's where you lose us once again in this statement, because you did choose to write a defamatory Washington Post op-ed that was adjudicated as defamatory. Okay? This was an appeal process after damages were found in Johnny Depp's favor and against you. So this was an appeal, and now you are settling this appeal, right? So you did choose to write that op-ed. You did choose to file a phony, now we've determined by that court of law that it was a phony TRO, okay? And when you choose to lie, as it has been shown over and over and over again, you did choose this, okay? So let's keep going. I defended my truth, and in doing so, I defended my truth, but your truth may not be the truth, and that is what was determined, is that your truth is not the truth. And you are still refusing to acknowledge that your truth and the truth are not the same thing, as determined by a jury in the United States of America in a trial against you. The vilification, now we go into victim mode. Now we go into, I was just sharing my truth and I was vilified around the world on social media. But no, that's the issue. It wasn't the truth. And most people in the world are not going to be okay with you defending a lie. When we can see that you lied over and over and over, we're not going to be just, okay, good, yeah, you're right. That's your truth. It's the truth. No, it wasn't the truth. So when you get response to the fact that you are lying, you're being shown to lie over and over again, you're going to get backlash. And that's not vilification. That's not harassment. That's just saying, hey, we're exercising our free speech rights against a public figure who has come out and said that she was the primary victim in a domestic relationship. And the court said, no, that's not true. The vilification I've faced on social media is an amplified version of the ways in which women are re-victimized when they come forward. Yep, women are re-victimized when they come forward. If they were part of any kind of a situation, they are going to be more victimized by social media in their own mind if they keep lying about it. And if they don't take any accountability for their own actions. I see no accountability here. Now I finally have an opportunity to emancipate myself from something I attempted to leave over 6 years ago on terms I can agree to. I think that's the key phrase here, on terms I can agree to. Well, she didn't agree to the terms, so she turned it into a PR debacle. She turned it into using the courts to get her public reputation back. And it didn't work. And apparently, whoever is influencing her to make this decision to settle is also seeing it that way. Let's keep going. I have made no admission. This is not an act of concession. This is a term that's usually used in these statements after a settlement, but she has to go on, right? There are no restrictions or gags with respect to my voice moving forward. Okay, well, if you are going to use your voice to continue to lie, you're going to get some backlash. Sorry, that's the way it is. I make this decision having lost faith in the American legal system, where my unprotected testimony served as entertainment and social media fodder. But wasn't that by design, Amber? Weren't you trying to gain back your public reputation? And now that it hasn't gone your way, it's the American legal system's fault? Now, let's all acknowledge, yes, the American legal system is profoundly flawed. In this situation, it isn't just the American legal system that found you guilty. It's also the court of public opinion. I feel that that's what you feel you've lost here, and that you don't have any more fumes on which to try to regain that. You're running out of money. You're running out of credibility. And so whoever's influenced you to do this, and hopefully it's part of your decision too, is making the right decision. We keep going. When I stood before a judge in the UK, I was vindicated by a robust, impartial, and fair system where I was protected from having to give the worst moments of my testimony in front of the world's media, and where the court found that I was subjected to DNSV in the US. However, I exhausted almost all of my resources in advance of and during a trial in which I was subjected to a courtroom in which abundant direct evidence that corroborated my testimony was excluded, and in which popularity and power mattered more than the reason and due process. In the interim, I was exposed to a type of humiliation that I simply cannot relive. Even if my U.S. appeal is successful, the best outcome would be a retrial where a new jury would have to consider the evidence again. I simply cannot go through that for a third time. Now, this is more legal analysis. I'm not a lawyer, so go to the legal analyst for the more credible way of looking at this. Comparing the UK trial and this trial is misdirection, deflection, and it's misinformation. Because in the UK trial, Johnny was suing the son, not Amber Heard. So it was not her trial. It was whether the son had enough evidence to prove that they were not maliciously attacking Johnny by calling him a wife beater. Okay? Well, because they were able to bring in all kinds of hearsay evidence, I could go out and say that Johnny told me he hit Amber. If I have some sort of relationship with Johnny, that would be allowed in the UK court in that trial. But that wouldn't be allowed if I just willy-nilly came out and said, I know Johnny and I know that he told me that he hit her and that he abused her. That's not allowed in a US court. So you can't compare apples and oranges here. And, in my view, it's better that the U.S. system doesn't allow gossip and rumors that aren't going to be substantiated by some sort of proof to be allowed as evidence in court. And that's why she lost. So let's keep going. Time is precious, yes. And I want to spend my time productively and purposefully. For too many years, I have been caged in an arduous and expensive legal process, which has shown itself unable to protect me and my right to free speech. But my understanding is that she's done a lot on social media to take away other people's free speech rights. So we're supposed to allow you to have free speech, unhampered free speech, but other people can't have their free speech. It doesn't work that way. And people who are not emotionally attached to this case can see that that is absolute hypocrisy. Okay? Continuing on. I cannot afford to risk an impossible bill, one that is not just financial, but also psychological, physical, and emotional. Women shouldn't have to face abuse or bankruptcy for speaking her truth, but unfortunately, it is not uncommon. Well, my understanding is that there's an insurance company that is footing the bill for this, okay? They're the ones that are paying the settlement. I think that what she is referring to, what is really gouging her, is that because this is a public reputation campaign for her, she's paying a lot of PR people and social media experts and whatnot to, pump her story out there, get her voice out there. The court process, it was merely just a vehicle, a trigger point for her to be able to say, this is in court, we're fighting this. But she had to continue paying her PR reps and paying for all the things that go with that. And that's where you start to lose money on top of the legal bills, right? And also, I was married to a partner at a law firm who, for several years, and some of his primary clients were insurance companies. And let me tell you, these insurance companies have a great deal of influence in deciding whether to settle a case or not. They have a great deal of influence because they are the ones who are footing the bill. So my guess is that this insurance company looked at the facts, looked at the situation, looked at the public disapproval of Amber's actions and said, look, this is not going to work. We think that Johnny's case is solid and you're not going to win in the court of public opinion. So we're cutting things off. That's my opinion. I don't know for sure. Continuing on. In settling this case, I'm also choosing the freedom to dedicate my time to the work that helped me heal after my divorce. Work that exists in realms in which I feel seen, heard, and believed, and in which I know I can affect change. So she wants to create a cocoon, a filter bubble where she's believed, even though she was shown to have lied. Okay. Continuing on. I will not be threatened, disheartened, or dissuaded by what happened from speaking the truth. Good. Then it has to be the truth for it to be widely publicly accepted in the public reputation realm that you're looking for. No one can and no one will take that from me. My voice forever remains the most valuable asset I have. I'm going to question that. Your voice has been shown to have lied. Okay? So everybody's voice is valuable, but when you use that voice to speak mistruths on other people in plain sight, where people who are not emotionally attached to the situation can see that you did that, it's not a valuable asset. It might be your most valuable asset, but is not the most valuable asset you have that we can see. Because your voice to us now represents lying, gaslighting, deflecting, misinformation, blame shifting, all of the above, all of the things that Dr. Susan Hughes said were part and parcel of her diagnosis of you. Last screenshot. I'd like to thank my outstanding appellate and original trial teams for their relentless hard work. Finally, I want to thank everyone who has supported me, and I turn my attention to the growing support that I felt and seen publicly in the months since trial, and the efforts that have been made to show solidarity with my story. Thank you to all you people who were willing to go along with my lies. That's how I read it. I'm sorry. The next statement, she's trying to speak for all survivors. Okay. I'm a survivor, and I'm going to see whether this speaks for me. Any survivor knows that the ability to tell their story often feels like the only relief. And I cannot find enough words to tell you the hope your belief in me inspires. Not just for me, but for all of you. Thank you. See you soon. Is that a promise or a threat? I'm sorry, but I'm a survivor. The ability to tell my story isn't the only relief. The relief is for it to stop, to actually stop. And then if that person continues to abuse and use a public platform to abuse, then the relief can be found in telling the story. Okay? So I find it kind of a funny thing to say. That's the only relief is telling your story. In all honesty, it isn't that relieving to tell a story. It's the unfortunate last resort to when there isn't justice. And here's the thing. You went through the justice system. You penned an op-ed that made a very bold claim against somebody. You were proven to be wrong, and you're still claiming to be the primary victim, even though a judge and jury found you to be the primary aggressor. That is what you're going to have to come to terms with. And stop trying to make everybody feel sorry for you as the primary aggressor. Now, we don't know if Johnny's going to drop his appeal. Who knows? I mean, that's more of a legal question than a public reputation question. But I will say this. I do think that if Johnny were to drop his side, that this would put everything to a close from a public reputation and a public opinion standpoint, and he wouldn't look like he was begrudging and being more of a bully by continuing to go after her in his appeal. Now, how does this look for Amber overall? Did what Amber set out to do work? Well, no. I mean, I think that this settlement is not, from her perspective, it's not an admission of guilt in the legal suit, but it's an admission of guilt in the public reputation realm. That she was not going to be able to use the court system anymore in a way that would help her public reputation the way she wanted it to. When you look at the totality of what happened and the fact that she continues to emphatically deny that she was the aggressor and emphatically contest what the decision was, and in the meantime not take any accountability whatsoever, not admit any fault. I've had so many people in my comments trying to defend her. Believe me, it's overwhelmingly people are on the Johnny side. Okay, they're Team Johnny, but people do come into my comments on my Amber videos and try to defend her. And the things that they say are related to, the things that he said in text messages to other people. That's hearsay. But what we have on the record, what we know for sure, is that Amber threw a bottle at Johnny and he lost the tip of his finger. She was consistently taunting him, consistently badgering him, consistently trying to take pictures of him in compromising positions, consistently gaslighting him. We can see all those things, especially when we're not emotionally connected to those people. We can see from the outside that is the action that's taking place by her, that her words and actions do not match up. Her words are, this is my truth, this is what happened, this is the truth, but then the actions don't back that up, and the proof doesn't back that up. In fact, in court, we saw that she actually tried to tamper with some of that proof in order to try to make it true when it wasn't. So in the long run, I believe that she has lost a great deal of credibility. I mean, back in the day when she first filed for divorce, did she have to file for a TRO? Did she have to stage a press scrum coming out of the court with a fake bruise on her face? No, she didn't have to do those things. Did she have to write an op-ed alluding very much that she is the victim of basically a wife beater? Did she have to do those things? No. She could have just filed for her divorce, dealt with the, adjudication of the divorce, and moved on. But she had to make sure Johnny was seen in a certain light. And in reality, she was projecting what she actually had done to Johnny onto him. And we all saw that it wasn't true. So I would say let this be a lesson to other public figures who want to try to use the court system to save their public reputation, especially when the court has not found in your favor and you continue to try to use all of that action to call everybody else liars and to try to make everybody else look bad and to take away their freedom of speech. That is not going to come across well from a public reputation standpoint. It is a little bit foreboding to me or daunting to me that she says, "Thank you, see you soon." Hopefully that means as a character in the movies and not in some other bogus PR battle that she wants to wage against somebody to make her look like a victim. Just go do your career, show that you're a good actress, learn from this, and maybe you'll get that public reputation you're looking for. But not right now, honey. Not right now. Thanks for watching. Please remember to hit the subscribe button or the like button. Consider becoming a member. And remember, everybody has things going on in their private lives. And also, this season is happy for a lot of people, but not happy for a lot of people too. So be kind everywhere you go. And peace out.